Morning, everybody. We're starting 15 minutes late, but that's perfectly fine. Today's session is on building intellect, as we had sent communication about. So Swamiji will spend, as usual, about 40 minutes or so talking about building intellect through an understanding and appreciation of the Gita. And after that, we'll open it up for questions from the group. Right. So over to you, Swamiji.
Yeah, sure. So, good morning, everyone. Today we'll be studying about strengthening the intellect. Like we have been discussing before, this is the main crux. Now, before we proceed to talk about intellect, why intellect is very important for a human being, I would like to ask that question to all of you.
Yeah, I think answering building intellect is important because then it helps you make the right choices. Otherwise, you would do it based on intuition, or you would do it without thinking and automatically. So your basic instincts would be driving your choices. Whereas when you build your intellect, you can make choices and sometimes take decisions which are contrary to what your instinct or um your intuition tells you.
First of all, when I say human being, who is a human
One
being?
more.
How is he different from the animals? Now, a human being is different from the animal because a human being has what is called as mind. In fact, the word manushya comes from the root manas. Man, from that the manushya comes. So who can think? Who can think and function? When you talk about animals, they don't have this faculty to think, decipher. They have a very rudimentary thinking capacity. They can discriminate between male and a female. They can discriminate between what can be eaten, what should not be eaten. They have a very basic, rudimentary thinking faculty. They don't have a faculty like us to think beyond certain basic necessary things in life. That is precisely why a human being can rise to a greater heights far beyond what animals can reach. At the same time, a human being can also fall into a great abyss, worse than animals. In fact, if you see in the world today, a lot of us are seen as human beings. When you look at us, our form and everything reassures that we are human beings. But if you really ask, are we thinking and functioning? How many of us are really thinking and functioning? Very, very few, isn't it? So that is precisely why we need to understand that we need to strengthen the intellect, because it's the intellect which is also mind. See, in Sanskrit, we use the word mind to mean everything. In fact, mind can be split into four: manas, buddhi, ahankar, and chitta. Manas means thoughts which run indiscriminately. They are called manas, mind, indiscriminate thought flow. Intellect, buddhi, means discriminate thought flow. Basically, both are thoughts. When they are indiscriminate in nature, they are called manas. When they are discriminate in nature, they are called buddhi. And there is some thoughts which are arrogating everything to oneself. Even these two, discriminatory thoughts and indiscriminatory thoughts to oneself, that arrogatory thoughts are called ahankar. And the chitta means memory, recollection of all the past instances. So, mind is a common word for all these four. If you want to use a specific term when it comes to thinking, discriminating, then we use the word intellect. When a human being is born, the physical brain only is there. The intellect is not yet born. Even the mind is not born. Only the physical brain is born. Very rudimentary mind is born. Even the physical brain is not born with full developed capacity. So the first 5 years of human life, the physical brain alone is developing. That's why they say the child should sleep maximum. Maximum, the child should be sleeping. If at all the child is awake, the other two things that the child should do is eat and play. Eat, play, sleep more. This is how a child should be, because that's when the child's physical brain will develop more. And when the child reaches approximately around 5 years, then the physical brain has developed fully, now the neuronal connection starts happening, where the mind starts getting formed. That's the time the likes and dislikes starts getting formed more and more. From childhood itself it forms, but from 5 to about 10 or 12, the mind neuronal connection starts happening. It happens after that also, but majority happens that time. Around 12 onwards, approximately, plus or minus 1 year, you can say, you start questioning why it is so, etc. So the intellect starts developing, or the possibility of developing the intellect is around 10, 11, 12. And around that age is when hormonal changes starts happening in our personality. So now the hormones are pulling us in a particular direction, and we need to use the time to think about developing the intellect. So there's a problem. And many of us will go with the hormones. Very, very few people develop intellect. Now, in this, there is another challenge that comes. What is the challenge? The challenge is those who say that, well, I am involving myself in developing the intellect, I'm not going to go with the hormones. Even they, what they are doing is, they are not really developing the intellect. They are only developing what is called as intelligence. There is a difference between intelligence and intellect. Intelligence is being well informed in one or more subjects. When you say intellect, it is the capacity that you have to control your mind and direct it. Now, that capacity is not necessary that even extremely intelligent people have. I myself know two doctors, one in India, one abroad. One doctor was addicted to cigarette. Both of them were addicted to cigarette. The guy in India was a heart specialist. And the gentleman in America, oncologist. But both of them were highly addicted to cigarette. Now, they have tremendous intelligence about how the intellect can damage the heart, the entire body. Cancer can come, lungs can get, lung cancer can come. They know all that. They can explain to you much better than anybody else. They have the intelligence, but they don't have the intellect, which is to discriminate and see what is good for me, what is not good for me, and how much of that which is good for me I should contact, when I should contact. They don't have the capacity to decipher and function. They are not able to do that. They're impulses of the mind. What is mind? Mind is, again, like I said, it's a flow of thought, but indiscriminate thought flow. It has no logic or reason. It is full of likes and dislikes. If I ask you, what do you like? You say, I like dark chocolate. Somebody else say, I like white chocolate. Why do you like white chocolate? Why do you like dark chocolate? There's no logic or reason. Ever since I've been tasting, I like this, I didn't like this. That's it. We have that kind of likes and dislikes, and that is called mind. Desires is the seat. The seat for desires is the mind. Impulses is again from the mind. So mind is indiscriminate thought flow, likes and dislikes, desires, impulses, all emotions, feelings. All this is mind. Intellect is a discriminate thought flow which can control this indiscriminate thought flow. But when we are born, we are only having it as a potential. We don't have it fully developed. We need to strengthen it. And it becomes extremely important because when you live in the world, the truth may be completely contradictory to your sensory perceptions. I'll give you 3 examples. You see from your eyes, your daily perception confirms that sun comes and goes. So you say sun rises and sun sets. But when you probe, question and probe and find the truth, you come to understanding that sun is not revolving, rising and setting. It is the earth that is revolving. But when I see, I'm not revolving when I'm sitting on the earth. I don't see the earth revolving also. So my personal experience is completely contradictory to the truth. Another example. My personal sensory experience tells me that the earth is flat. But the truth is earth is not flat. Similarly, my sensory experience are telling me that the light is coming from the moon. But the truth is there is no light coming from the moon. The light that seems to be coming from the moon is the reflected light of the sun. So I just gave you 3 examples. There are too many examples. Similarly, in Vedanta, we say there is no enjoyment in the object outside. But my personal experience tells me when I put a Godiva chocolate in my mouth, I go to almost to self-realization, Ananda. Somebody else puts something else and they go to Ananda. So my personal experience seems to tell me that the joy is coming from the object. So therefore, my mind starts developing likes and dislikes for these objects. But if I really use my intellect and think and understand and control it, as a result of that, I get benefit. But how many of us do that? Why we are not doing it? Because our mind is more strong and intellect is not strong. Therefore, we say the intellect needs to be strengthened. And only with the intellect you can make choices like Ravi said. As human beings, we have this choice of actions. Animals don't have choice of action. A carnivorous animal will be a meat eater. Herbivorous animal will be a vegetarian. Now, in some parts of the world, what they did is they mixed up the animal fodder in, animal products in cow's fodder. So cows were eating it, they didn't know. And they developed a disease. And these human beings may call the disease as mad cow disease. Now, this is not mad cow, this is a mad human disease. These fellows created this. In nature, it is designed in such a way that these animals which are carnivorous, they kill and eat. Herbivorous animal, they don't have a choice, they eat vegetarian. So, when it comes to human beings, we can either be a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian. Some days vegetarian, some days non-vegetarian. So, the choice of action is only there with human beings. Animals are controlled and directed by law of heredity. Human beings also, to some extent, come under law of heredity, but they have what is called as law of education, thinking. Thinking directs the human being more. So with all these reasons, what we need to understand is there is a necessity to develop the intellect, and developing the intellect has got nothing to do with intelligence. A person may not be that intelligent in many fields, but when it comes to controlling the mind's impulses or likes and dislikes, he is able to do it. And such a person will be clear in his head as to what are the areas in which he can do nothing and what are the areas in which he can do something. So in the areas which he doesn't know anything, the fact that he has that clarity, he approaches people who know. So even though he may not have the intelligence, he can employ people who have the intelligence. So to run business or to run anything in even life for that matter, if you have intelligence, it's good. But if you don't have intellect, it's a very big loss. So if you can have both intelligence and intellect, it's very good. If you don't have intelligence, no problem, but have intellect. But if you have intelligence and you don't have intellect, it's a very big problem. This is precisely what is happening in many places. all these people are using their intelligence to destroy themselves. In fact, Einstein, when he came up with that theory of relativity, apparently after that he was saying that I'm sure these human beings are going to use this for destructive purpose. And that's exactly what has happened. All these nuclear bombs and everything. Now, the intelligence, when it is not under the governance of intellect, what happens is, instead of the intelligence benefiting you, you use it to destroy yourself and the world. It's a very big problem. So intelligence at the cost of intellect, it's a danger. And that is why, since majority of the human beings have only intelligence and not intellect, now what is happening is, this world is what it is today. Now in Delhi, why there is so much of pollution? Is it because of animals, birds? Is it because of any other species? Or is it because of human beings? We human beings have destroyed the planet with the so-called intelligence. And we thought that that is intellect, and even still now a lot of people are thinking that is intellect. This is not intellect. You may be an extremely well-informed person in any field, but intellect means the ability to control the whims and fancies of your mind, the senses. Then only it's intellect. And you need to strengthen it. Like I told you, from the age of 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 onwards, you have the capacity to strengthen it, because that's when you have the ability to question. Start questioning. Now, how do you strengthen the intellect? So far, I spoke about the necessity to strengthen the intellect. This is very important to understand. How do you strengthen the intellect? How do you strengthen your physical muscle in the body? A muscle is strengthened by constant exercise, isn't it? When you exercise the muscles, the muscle develops. Similarly, when you exercise your intellect develops. And to develop your muscle, you have to exercise, but that doesn't mean the whole day you can exercise. There's a capacity. And similarly, to exercise, there is some time which is good. For example, morning hours or evening hours. Nowadays, people exercise in any time, but the best time to exercise is morning or evening. Now, similarly, to exercise the intellect, the best time is early hours of the day. Before we get on to how to exercise the intellect, I will now talk a little bit about why early hours of the day is conducive for developing the intellect. And before I get on to that, let me ask you, what do you think, why the scriptures are saying early hours of the day is more conducive to develop the intellect? Anybody? In fact, strictly speaking, the scriptures say the time best suited for that is between 4 and 6 in the morning. But the earlier the better. Why is that so? Anybody?
The body is rested.
So what happens when the body is rested?
Swamiji, Subir here.
Yeah.
So far I know that in the early morning, our subconscious mind is basically active and our conscious mind is not that much active. So
Correct.
whatever we do in that period, it goes to our subconscious mind, and most of our activity is controlled by that subconscious mind. So that is the good time to do.
Okay, good. One is that. What is the other one?
So willpower is maximum in the morning
Why?
because you are well rested. You had the entire night sleep. You are and even you are not impacted by your daily works to dos, and that is the best time. Like you can put your entire energy, entire mind and physical energy into the thing that you want to endeavor.
Yeah, good. I think you remember what I said when I discussed the emotional intelligence lecture.
Sir, pollution-free environment will be there.
Pardon?
Pollution-free environment will be there in the morning hours.
That's true. all kinds of pollutions. Noise pollution also will not be there. People at home will be thinking, which is also conducive for you to sit and think. Hardly any disturbance. Correct. All of you are right. See, first of all, what we need to understand is the capacity to think expresses through the brain. Please understand. Brain is the physical counter. A lot of people go about thinking that brain is the intellect. One part of the brain is mind, one part of the brain is intellect. No, it's not like that. In the brain, we have what is called as amygdala. In the brain, we have what is called as prefrontal cortex. I discussed all these things when I discussed emotional intelligence, because this topic and that topic is interrelated. So certain things what I said there, I'll have to bring in here and then explain to you. So now this this amygdala, people think is mind. Prefrontal cortex, people think is intellect. Now, what you need to understand is, for example, software and hardware is there. Now, you have a phone in your hand. The phone is hardware, isn't it? Phone is hardware. The phone will function only when the software is loaded in that. The software, for it to function, it needs the hardware. Similarly, mind and intellect, all that comes under the category called subtle body. And this physical body in which the brain is there comes under the category of gross body. In the brain, we have prefrontal cortex and amygdala. Now, when the subtle body has to function, subtle body is like software. It needs a hardware, the gross body. So the mind and intellect, which is indiscriminately thought flow and discriminatory thought flow, they are capacities in you. They need a physical body to express, counter to express. Okay, so the body is only the counter, the brain is only the counter through which the intellect expresses. So therefore, it becomes extremely important to take the physical body into consideration when you are developing the intellect. Because a lot of people don't do this. This is something very, very important. So they think it's just simply sitting and exercising my thinking. I don't have to exercise my body. No, it's not true. Similarly, they think that quality food is not so important. Anything I can eat. But if I continue exercising my thinking, I will develop my thinking. No. All these are interconnected. So the intellect, the capacity to think, when it expresses through the brain, it is expressing through the prefrontal cortex. And the neocortex and the prefrontal cortex. The impulses of the mind, when it expresses through the amygdala and all. So now, if we understand the brain, it's a muscle. The prefrontal cortex in the brain is also a muscle. A muscle has its capacity, and throughout the day, that muscle is exercised to make choices. When your discrimination is functioning, it's functioning through that muscle only. So the muscle, as it's functioning the whole day, by the time evening comes, the muscle is tired. So that is why even someone who has a peg or two every day, alcohol, I'm not suggesting you should have it even once a week. I'm not suggesting that. But if somebody has that habit, you try telling him, shall we have it in the morning? They are evening. Because in the morning, when you suggest that to him, his willpower is strong. The muscle is available. Evening, it's tired. So this is what the gentleman was saying. So when you rest, your brain gets rejuvenated. Not only that, throughout the day, we get involved in so many activities. And not every activity resolves in that particular day itself. There are a lot of activities which are left without resolved. So now what happens is, some of them are a little more intense and they need to be resolved for life to continue normal. So we dream. In the dream, these thoughts, which need some kind of, resolution, it gets resolved in the dream, that little extra bit. So the dream and the sleep both are extremely important for you to rest. So when the body is rested sufficiently, more than 6 to 7 hours, then the brain through which the thinking has to be expressed is available to think. This is from within you. The rajas and tamas. Tamas means inertia, inert. Rajas means activity. Sattva means knowledge. The sattva, rajas, tamas are the temperaments of the mind, inner temperaments of the mind. And this is there in every mind. Each one of us have a mind, and everybody's mind is made up of sattva, rajas, tamas. So there is a force which is activities. Activity means constantly expressing. That's a force. And there's another force which needs to keep it standing, stagnating. So that is stagnation force. That is tamas. One is active force, stagnating force, tamas. Rajas is active force. And there is a force which knows these two. You know about this and that. That is the knowledge force. So knowledge Shakti, active Shakti, and inert Shakti. All are Shaktis only. The mind is made up of these three. The tamas and rajas are taken care of because your rajas was taken care of when you were working the previous day. Tamas was taken care of when you were resting. So in the morning, whatever level of sattva you have, that manifests more in the morning. And like the other gentleman said, outside pollution is less in the sense, not only in the air, even in the environment, everybody else is sleeping, so it's quiet, conducive to sit and think. So therefore they say morning 4 to 6 is the best time to develop your intellect. Now, how do you develop the intellect? To develop the intellect, you got to question everything, not take anything for granted. Not take anything for granted. Because just now I explained to you, when you see, it seems as if sun is only revolving. So people took it for granted for a long time. But when somebody questioned it, they found out that it's the other way around. It's the earth that is revolving, not the sun. Similarly, in life, the enjoyments that come from the sense objects are not really coming from the sense objects, it's coming from within me. But I won't understand that right now. To understand that, now I need to have developed my intellect. How do I do that? By questioning everything, not taking anything for granted. And to do that, just like when you go to the gym, in the gym there are some equipments which help you to exercise your body. To exercise your intellect through questioning, the scriptures are helpful. The word for scripture in Sanskrit is Shastram. Shastram means teach and protect. If you go under the tree will not ask you, are you a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra? It will give you shelter if you go under it. It doesn't bother whether you are a, learned person or or an ignorant. Anyone who comes under the tree, they will get the shade. They will be protected. Similarly, anyone who comes under the shade of the scriptures, they are protected by the scripture, by the earlier wise people's questioning. All that you see in the scriptures, what are they? They were the collections of the findings of our previous generation who had questioned everything, and whatever their findings were, that is what is put in the book form. So when you use such scriptures, literature, you are forced to question everything and think. That's why we say study these books in the morning, not any other books. Any book when you study, and with the fact that you are focused, you will develop prefrontal cortex, because prefrontal cortex can be strengthened through focused activity. But to develop the intellect, you can't say I'm focusing on some some other book. So when you study the literature, what is the literature all about? The literature is all this only. So when you study such scriptures, they make you question everything in life. Why should I get married? Should I get married or not? Should I go to work or should I start business? They'll make you question everything. And the more and more you question, you will strengthen the intellect. And once you have strengthened the intellect, you have X capacity. Let's say 30% capacity is there. But it is not a guarantee that the 30% intellect you will be using it in your life. Therefore, you need to do what is called as introspection. When you do introspection, which is what is that? Before going to bed every night, should be done for not more than 3 minutes to 5 minutes. You just go through the whole day's activity one after the other. So you are just witnessing it. Whatever you forgot, you don't have to worry to recollect and remember. Just go through the activities and become aware. So then, in whichever area your intellect was not alert, as you are doing this experiment of introspection, the intellect becomes available in that area. So that 30% intellect starts becoming available in that area. So the exercise of studying in the morning and the exercise of introspection in the night both go in development of the intellect. So we have seen why we need to strengthen the intellect, which time in your life is most suited to develop the intellect, around 10, 11, 12. And then we saw the connection of the intellect and the physical body, and we explained why early morning time is best suited for developing the intellect. And now we discussed as to how to develop the intellect. Now, once you understood these two, that questioning everything and not taking anything for granted, by constantly doing this exercise, I'm strengthening my intellect. Now, this exercise also, like I told you, like physical exercise, you should do only for a certain time. If you do it beyond, then again, your intellect will snap. So therefore, we say, when you do this study, maximum 1 hour, 15 minutes or 1.5 hours. Don't do it more than that. Once you have done that 1.5 hour study, get up and do something else. And then like that, you can have maximum 4 or 5 sessions in a day. But that is for people who are at a different level. Like when you go to the gym, majority of them, they just come for half an hour, 45 minutes every day. There are people who go to gym for different reasons. Maybe to become a bodybuilder or something. They may do exercise for 5 or 6 hours. So when you go in that kind of a level, then maybe you can do this exercise 4 or 5 times studying. But otherwise, you've done this exercise in the morning. That doesn't mean you don't think throughout the day. Throughout the day also, you've got to generally be questioning everything before accepting anything. Specific questioning in the morning and general questioning throughout the day. When you do this, you will develop the intellect. Now, like I told you, the intellect is part of the subtle body. It is going to express through the gross body, which is this physical body. So you have to make sure you have done proper physical exercise also. Because when you do proper exercise with proper regulation, then you are pumping good oxygen, blood flow to your brain. If you are not doing that, then you are not providing that to your brain. So brain is the equipment through which the intellect will function. Now, if your brain is not adequately exercised and adequately, given the right type of food, nutrition, then how can the brain think? You can't. Therefore, we say you've got to take care of what kind of food you eat, how much you exercise. That is also very important. Physical exercise is very important. So physical exercise, and then the nutritious food, and also, like I spoke, sleep and dream. Both are important. So that's why we say if you sleep only for 4 hours or 3 hours in a day, you won't go through the REM cycle. I suppose you understand what is a REM cycle. Rapid eye movement is what is called as REM cycle. So, we are awake now. Then we go to, what do you call, uh, light sleep. A little more light sleep. And then dream and deep sleep. Then again we come to the first one, light sleep, little more light sleep, dream, deep sleep. This continues. This one cycle is called one REM cycle. Approximately, they say it takes about 1.5 hours. So if you sleep for about 8 hours, you have gone through 5 REM cycles. But if you sleep only 3 hours, you only go through about 2 REM cycles. I already told you, dream helps in consolidating your thoughts and resolving your thoughts. It's like every day you're having so many letters coming from your customers. What do? You have to file those letters, isn't it? Many times what happens, we don't file it, we just keep it there on the table. But if you file it, it's gone to the respective file. So same thing happens when you dream. So the dream is also essential, deep sleep is also essential, and this 4 to 5 REM cycles is very, very important. So that's why we say, if you want to strengthen the intellect, make sure you give importance to sleep also. That doesn't mean you sleep throughout the day. Approximately 6 to 8 hours. So at least you've had 4 to 5 REM cycles. So when you do all this, then you develop the intellect. And another important factor which helps in developing the intellect is music. Because music quietens your mind. When the mind is quietened, thinking becomes better. So that is why in the practice of developing the intellect, even they talk about devotional prayers and songs. All these are also extremely important in strengthening the intellect. If you do all this question, so when we talk about question, they say your only friend who will come with you throughout, who will benefit you always. There are 6 friends, and their names are who, when, where, how, why, which. If you don't question, you don't grow. Emperors of the past, they were living much poorer life compared to us. They didn't have, air conditioner. They didn't have even car or bus. They had to either go by walk or on a bullock cart or on a horseback. But today, even someone who is not earning that well can go by bus. He doesn't have to walk, or he doesn't have to sit on the bullock cart or a horseback. So the world is developed tremendously. Why? Because people questioned, do I have to only walk, or I can find something through which I can relax while I'm also covering the distance? Somebody asked that question. And he invented the tires, the bicycle came. And once the bicycle came, then he said, in bicycle also I'm pedaling. Is there in any way I don't have to pedal, but I can move. The cycle will move. Then they found I can fit a motor to it. Then the motorcycle came. So through questioning, we have reached this state. So therefore, to grow, you need to question. And questioning the obvious is the most difficult thing. Because there are many things we have accepted without question. And now it looks blasphemous to question those things. But come on, yeah. It's a common knowledge to everyone. How can I question that? I remember when I was studying in school, they said atoms cannot be split. Now if you write atoms cannot be split, you will fail. atoms can be split. So science is constantly developing and growing. How? Through questioning only. You don't question, you don't develop. So the education system should help you to question. But unfortunately, today in the education system, what is happening is there's a lot more information people want to gather by the time they finish their 12th standard or a degree. So too many informations are provided by schools and colleges. They don't have time to sit and even think or reflect. Just this morning, somebody called up and said they have twins and the children are studying in first standard in some school. And they are having apparently only 1 hour class now online, but they have 4 subjects, it seems. And in all the 4 subjects, they are given homework every day. So the children don't have time to play. That's a dangerous thing to do. Like I told you, children should play and sleep more. But unfortunately, our education system is not allowing you to think. The education system is only stuffing information. So when I said get up in the morning and study and reflect on scriptures, what you need to understand is if you are studying a book, I'm just giving an example. 20 minutes you read, 40 minutes you question and think why it is saying so. For what? Why can't I do this way? Why should I have to do this way? And then with this 20-40 ratio, if you do it, then you will develop the intellect because you are thinking. Otherwise, for 60 minutes, if you are reading, you are only putting inputs. It's like you are eating, but you have not exercised your body to digest the food that you have eaten. So what will happen? You will vomit. So this is what is happening in the world today. People have just read books, including the books written by my guru, and many books they've read. They will just come and talk. They have intelligence, but they don't have intellect. They can't control their thinking. So when you understand this difference, then to develop the thinking, you will study like this. You have 3 hours. 1 hour you give for the information, 2 hours to think. That's how it should be. Twice the time you give to take the information should be given to digest it. When you do that, then your intellect develops. When you develop the intellect, then you can practice sense control, mind control, everything. Not otherwise. So the way to strengthen the intellect is by questioning everything, not taking anything for granted. This is the way to develop the intellect. There is no other way. And along with that, I have mentioned a few other things you follow. Don't compromise on your sleep. Don't compromise on your exercises. Don't compromise on your nutritious food. But understand why it helps in developing the intellect. Don't go about saying, if I do this and then read the book, I will develop the intellect. No, you will not. You will only develop intelligence. But if you reflect, question the book. So what if Sri Krishna said so in the Bhagavad Gita? How it is true in this context, in today's life, in day and age, then you will strengthen the intellect. Not otherwise. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask.
Swamiji, Shivaprasad here.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. The first one is in the beginning, when we started the discussion, you said about intelligence. That could be put to good use and it could be put to bad use also, right? So,
if you have intellect, you will put it to good use. If not, you will put it to bad use.
No, I'm sort of talking about intelligence. So the difference, if I understand correctly, between intelligence and
Pardon? Are you there?
path is that
No, we couldn't hear you in between. So please repeat that.
So now my question was, unlike intelligence, which could turn bad, you say intellect is something which will always help you to make the right choices and do the right things. Is that the basic definition, or is that something more? That's first question. And my second question is, like, you can understand how you are physically developing. You can even understand how you are intellectually developing your intelligence is developing. How do you understand your intellect developing?
I told you, no? The ability to control your whims and fancies. See, now I have what do you call physical body, and for that physical body, I know that cigarette is not good, and do I have the ability to control that cigarette smoking habit? If I don't, then I don't have the intellect. I know that when somebody talks to me in a particular way, it's harmful, it's paining to me. So I should not talk to others that way. But I'm doing it. I raise my voice. I get angry with my children, with my friends, with my colleagues in the office. I know that when somebody talks like that to me, I get affected. So when I talk to my colleagues, they may also get affected. I know I shouldn't talk, but I'm not able to control. So I know that I don't have the intellect. So to know that I don't have the intellect, through these things you can know that I don't have the intellect. Through careful observation of your life, in the areas where you have no control, even though you know it's not good for you, you know that you don't have the intellect in those areas. Now, the first question that you asked is a little interesting question. That is, see, in one context, I said you may have the intelligence of how bad the cigarette is and still may not have the ability to control, therefore, you may be smoking. So I said, if you have the intellect, then you can control and use the intelligence for your benefit. Now, having said that, now there is a category of people who are called aggressively bad people. What happens is they not only have the intelligence, they also have the intellect, but they are not having higher values, you can say so. So they are bad people. They think and do bad things. They use their intelligence knowingly to do bad things. So even when a person develops the intellect, for example, Duryodhana had intellect compared to Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira did not have intellect. He was having values, good values, but he didn't have intellect. Whereas Duryodhana had intellect compared to Yudhishthira. That's why he could dominate Duryodhana. But Krishna, he had the intelligence and he had intellect far superior to Duryodhana, and he had higher values also. Therefore, what happens is a person like Krishna can control Duryodhana. If you are having relatively thinking capacity, but your values are all warped, you will be using that intellect to maneuver and get your things done. So that is also possible. So that is why we say we use technical words. I didn't go into that, but you asked this question. We use the word called sattvic intellect. Your intellect is sattvic, then you won't do all this. Then you will be highly using it for the welfare of the world only, not for any other purpose. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you. Clear.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Swamiji, good morning. This is Vaishali.
Yeah, good morning.
So, what you're saying is, it's important and required. However, it's a small minority. This whole sort of cycle of diet, sleep, using your intellect, etc. If you see the culture in the world at large, it's more. In the sense, with this, it's the right thing to do, but you could be a misfit because what the world is looking at is all of the opposites of this, right? Fun is equal to being out of control, etc., etc. If you look at anywhere in the world, that's what's happening. I totally buy in with you what you've just articulated and highlighted. But how do you account for, if say your children are raised with all of these values? It's very good, right? It's fantastic, and it's really good, and that's it. That's where it starts and stops. And perhaps that's been the philosophy of many of us. But we're still in the minority. So when you raise people like this and they go out in the world, right? How do they adjust with this huge gap, like this ocean of gap they dive into? where they are of a certain sort of, whether you call it character, qualities, values, etc. And so how would you, any guidance to address this issue? And this could apply not only to children, but to professionals also with a certain mindset going outside. So how does one deal? How does one equip? I know intellect, you have to use your intellect to deal with it, but some more guidance from you would be great.
No, Vaishali ji, if you see your own question, you have the answer there. You said, if I develop the intellect, how do I deal with people who have all these kind of contradictory values, which is what is more in this world today? For example, I'm only giving one more example to add to what you said. Like you said, having fun and all the examples I'm giving. People are gloating over the fact that they can stand 10 pegs. That's the kind of world that we live in today. So in that world, if you say I'm a teetotaler, you are kind of a misfit. In that sense, you're asking, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. That's an
Yeah,
example, good example.
Exactly. So you analyze what you're saying. If you say that my son has strong intellect, what is the definition of strong intellect? Take the example of a tree. Now in Chennai, I'm in Chennai now. Actually, I had come here for some work, so I'll be here for 1 or 2 months. So because any of the classes are going online, I decided to be here. There were cyclones here, one after the other, and heavy rain and powerful winds. Few trees fell down. Some of the strong trees did not fall. Why? Because the roots were strong. They were able to take care of it. If the roots are not strong, they'll fall. So, if your children intellect is really strong, then they won't fall for these tamashas going around, but they will know how to deal with it. The sense, you will not go and give them a lecture, why are you having such values? But nobody can force you. See, when the character is strong, you know how to deal with it. If your character is weak, then you'll fall for it. See, for example, Vivekananda, when he was in US, he was wearing that, dhoti and other robe that he was wearing. So it's a completely different clothes that Americans wear, right? Pant and shirt, and he was not wearing all that. So some people were making fun at him. So he said, in your country, people are just judged based on the clothes they wear. In my country, people are judged on the character of the person. That was the answer he gave to them. Because he was strong in his principles, because his intellect was strong. So if you say, I have developed the intellect of my children, then you should not have this question how they will deal with it. Like people, now, for example, in fact, in many of my, some of the places where I go, it's only ladies crowd. Some ladies groups like Y Flow, some it's all purely ladies group. The problem they have is handbag. I can't repeat the same handbag to another party. That's the kind of thing. So I must use different handbags. Even clothes, they say you should not repeat. This kind of nonsense is going around. So in that circle where I'm moving, I fall for that nonsense there. So what happens is, I am buying some 10, 20 handbags, and each handbag is so expensive. And they are buying those kind of handbags, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. And then they are not able to control that. This is what you're asking. Everybody is valuing that. If I have strong intellect, how do I deal? If I have strong intellect, I will not have 20,000 handbags. I will have one handbag. That also I decide which handbag. I will not buy because it's 5 lakhs. I will not allow the other person to dictate terms to me. See, when I have intellect, I will live on my convictions, not on other people's dictations. That is the definition of intellect. But if other people say something, I will listen to them, and if there is logic and reason, I will follow. But if there is no logic and reason, why should I follow? Just because 1,000 people are jumping in the well, should I also jump? I will have the ability to deal with it. That's the definition of the intellect itself. I will not have peer pressure. No way. If I'm having peer pressure, means I don't have the intellect. I'm thinking I'm having the intellect, but I may not have the intellect. Is that okay?
Yes, Swamiji. The only one point I wanted to make is on the flip side, women, you talked about the handbag example. I want to also talk about another example, which I guess, personal examples are more impactful. So I talk about it like, my daughter went to an institution like Wellesley, which is a very strong women's college, right?
Hmm.
Now, raised also in a family which is quite progressive and gender sensitive and all of that.
No,
Okay,
sorry, I didn't get this.
I said that she's also raised in a family which is very progressive and also values gender equality, parity, and there's no difference between men and women. And then she goes to an institution where there's that same philosophy, and it sort of kind of endorses that.
Hmm.
Then you go out to the
Hmm.
world, right? You start your first job,
Hmm.
right? In banking, any of these conservative financial institutions or any large institutions. It's a very different world out there. So point I'm making is you may be very steadfast in your views and you may be very steadfast and idealistic in wanting to change the world. All I'm
No,
saying
no, no,
is
no, 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 no. We don't say you have to change the world. We say first change yourself. Anyway, carry on, carry on.
yeah, no, change the world in the sense that you may be very kind of clear. So you have been molded in a certain way, and so therefore when you go out in the world, and so it applies whether it is gender, whether it is value, whether it's you as a holistic human being with high intellect. Sometimes that and you're right, I mean, you're right, I'm answering my question. You need a very strong intellect to be able to suddenly see that the world outside is very different, and so you need that extra strong intellect to be able to accept, embrace, and continue your journey. And
See,
so
it's
yeah,
not
so
extra
I'm saying
strong
it's
or
painful.
anything. It's not extra strong or anything. Please understand this. Now, you used words like children are brought up in a value-based family, progressive thinking family, and all that. Now, for example, take people who are living in Gujarat. Now, 2 years ago, I went to Udaipur. And in Udaipur, during Diwali time, I went 2 years ago. And in Udaipur, I saw full of cars, registration GJ. Udaipur is part of Rajasthan. You say, what is this here? If I see 100 cars, only about 30 is RJ, 70 is GJ. So what is happening here? As if Udaipur is now become part of Gujarat. So then somebody told me that the local fellow told me, sir, during Diwali we have 4-5 days holiday. So a lot of these Gujarati people, they come to Rajasthan because it's only 250 kilometers apparently from Ahmedabad. They all come there because many of them are worshippers of Srinathji. So from Udaipur, they go to Srinathji's mandir. That is one reason, very small reason for them. Main reason is Gujarat is a dry state. So all these fellows, they come to Udaipur to drink. I've seen this something like this in Middle East also. There's a bridge connecting Bahrain and Saudi. On Fridays, huge crowd coming from Saudi to Bahrain to indulge, and next day they go back. So why I'm giving this example is, you could have been brought up in an environment where a certain value is practiced. But if you have not thought about that value and understood the value of that value with your intellect, then you will come under the peer pressure wherever you go. If you have originally thought about that value, like in your family, if you and your husband and the rest of the family elders, everybody is following certain values, as a result, your daughter could have developed that value. But if she did not independently think on those values and develop the value of those values, when she goes out in the world, when she sees the contrary thing is being practiced, she may be falling for it. But if she originally thought about it, like I said, questioned why my mother said, eat this and don't eat this.
Swamiji, if I could just intervene here, sorry for
Yeah,
interrupting, but it's
yeah.
not about falling for it. The point here is that you are still steadfast in what you think is the right thing to do. You will not fall for it. However, you are, I guess, to a certain extent, saddened by the gap. That's all I'm saying. So it's tough. So maybe the
Saddened.
value,
No, see,
disappointed, you use the word disappointed,
disappointment comes when your intellect has not understood that all sorts of things and weather must be taken in together to make up a year and a sphere. This is the line beautifully put by, what's his name? Famous poet. He says in the poem Mountain and the Squirrel, he says all sorts of things must be taken in together to make up a year and a sphere. Emerson is the poet. So Emerson says everything should be taken in together. So if I understand, if I come to the world, there are people who look like cow, but they are tigers. There are people who look like tigers, but they are cows. There are people who look like cow and they are cow. There are people who look like tiger and they are tigers. So all these kind of varieties are there. Therefore, once I understand that, why will I be saddened? That in that area, I have not done thinking and developed my intellect. If in that area I have thought about and developed my intellect, in spite of my values, when I come out, I understand this is the kind of place I'm living, is how it will be. I may have a value to put the, the dust in the dustbin, garbage in the garbage bin. But when I get out in the world, 90% of the people may not do it. And out of those 90%, about 90% of people may be highly educated people. So if I did not have the intellect in understanding the world and the way it is governed by the gunas of the people, then only I will be saddened. So in some area I might have the intellect, in some other area I might not have the intellect. Especially in this life area, if you have not developed your intellect, then you will be saddened. Otherwise you won't be saddened. Otherwise you understand, well, this is how it is.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Any other question?
Okay. If there are no other questions, are there any questions?
Yes, Ritesh.
Yeah.
I have one question for Swamiji. For different personality types, how can we develop different intellect, like INTJ, EN, EP, and so on? So,
Sir, your voice is breaking. So let me repeat your question. Tell me whether that's the question you're asking. There are different personalities in the world. How to develop the intellect for different personalities? Is that what you're asking?
exactly. And second question, Swamiji, this is very fast-paced environment. Fast-paced environment. How much time should we give and to develop the intellect very fast?
Sir, I'll answer the second question first. I'll come to the first question second. The fast intellect has to be developed from the age of 12 to 25. Whether fast-paced world or not, doesn't matter. That's why we say, when you're young, you develop the intellect. But if you have not developed the intellect, now we are discussing about strengthening the intellect and everything when you're 40, 50, 60. It's already late. And then in that also you're saying fast. See, please understand, when you are continuing in a particular sport, the speed increases over a period of time with your skill and everything increasing. With your awareness increasing, you will be able to go fast but be controlled. When Schumacher drives the car at such speed, he's still controlling it. When you and me are driving at 30 only, we are making, we are meeting with accidents. So we should not be in a hurry to develop the intellect. We should put in that time to develop the intellect without being result oriented. But to the extent our intellect is developed, we will progress fast. Later on, the capacity to do things faster, spontaneously, that will increase over a period of time. It won't be the same as it was when you started to develop the intellect. So you don't worry about developing it fast. You start the process, don't be result oriented. This very thing to be result oriented itself is the mind. If you have that approach, then you won't develop the intellect. You have to do one thing. What? If I am going to strengthen my intellect today, from tomorrow onwards, every day morning, not between 4 and 6, you're all working. I know your schedule is different. So maybe 5 to to 6 or 5:30 to 6:30, you dedicate to study, reflect the scriptures with questioning. And generally also question your life's experience. Start doing that. Maybe after a month or two, if you're consistent, the capacity to digest and move faster will increase. And you will be able to spontaneously process and think. It will happen over a period of time, but you got to start slow, not fast. This is my answer to your second question. To answer your first question, where you said there are different personalities, are there different techniques to develop intellect? No, same technique only. No different techniques at all. But once you develop the intellect, you will use it according to your personality. See, for example, if are you living in Delhi somewhere? Or Delhi NCR?
I'm living in Nagpur.
You're living in Nagpur.
Yes.
So if, see, the train from Delhi to Chennai goes through Nagpur, right? The direction is different. When it is coming from Chennai to Delhi, it's coming from this one direction. When it's going from Delhi to Chennai, it's going in the other direction. But both come to Nagpur, isn't it? So now, if a guy who's calling from Chennai and saying which direction train I should take, you will answer according to where he is now. He's in Chennai. So you say the train that goes in this direction, you take. The train that goes in this direction, you take. But being in Nagpur, you are giving two different answers. Why? That depends on where the other person is when he's asking the question. Your house is approachable from left and right also. Depending on where that fellow is, when he's asked which side should I turn, you will ask, where are you? He will say, I am on this side. So then say, take left. If the other fellow is the other side, then you say, take right. So when you develop the intellect, you will use it according to your personality in your life, and you will quickly assess the other person's personality and use it. But every person with all different personalities will have to develop the intellect by questioning only. No other way. Is that okay?
Thank you very much, Swamiji.
You're welcome.
Sorry, just I know we are running out of time, Swamiji. One other question.
I have time. Don't worry, I have time.
Okay.
Ask. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Vaishali again. Just one quick question. So morning 4 to 6 is a good time. You'd mentioned for meditation, etc. Evening or during the rest of the day, like evening, night.
Any time you can do. There is no such thing that you can't do this time, that time. What is conducive for you, you follow. Early morning you have to. After that, anytime you can do. But don't overdo. You also need rest. When you're doing thinking, you actually sap more energy. So you need to give rest and quality food. So we therefore suggest when you're doing this exercise, don't do it more than 3 or 4 times in a day. But don't start with 3 or 4 times in a day. Start with just one time early morning in the day. And slowly, maybe second time in the evening, you can do from 6 to 7 or 6:30 to 7:30 or so.
Evening, so is it okay? Sure. So just a suggestion, Swamiji, and I was wondering, do you think we could have a session devoted to some focus on technique, mind, and to do this effectively? Is that a part of what you can help us with?
Technique of what? Developing the intellect?
Yeah, like just this morning, meditation and
no, meditation. See, in fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, we have almost completed about some summaries of a few chapters in the beginning. The next thing I'm going to talk about is meditation only, which is the 6th chapter of the Gita. So that meditation I will certainly talk about. But in terms of developing the intellect, I have already spoken about. Now, there is no such thing as technique in that. You have to question, and the more you question, the more you strengthen your intellect. Why do they say that only these clothes should be worn? Why not this clothes? Now, see, I find it very strange. In a place like Delhi, especially in summer, I'm not talking about winter. Winter I can understand. In summer, when it is so hot, the fellows are going in suit. They are wearing tie. I don't understand this. Winter I can understand. Why do I have to do that in summer? So if I am a person who is having intellect, I will question that also. So the technique to develop the intellect is questioning only, nothing else. And the other thing which helps, which I forgot to mention, is yoga. If at all you are talking about technique, yoga is one good exercise to develop the intellect. I'll explain quickly why. Which is, you see, when you say yoga exercise, you can't do those exercises when you're watching TV. Yoga itself means integrating your body, mind, and intellect. So, if in yoga, the yoga master is telling you to lift your right leg while you are lying on the back, on the ground, the right leg only should be lifted and the left leg should be flat. So, you have to bring your awareness to your leg first. You will be focusing, left leg will be flat, the right leg should be taken up, and he'll say, slowly do it at your own pace. So when you're doing it, your awareness has to be in the leg when you're doing it slowly. So when you're doing yoga, automatically focusing is involved. This point I forgot to mention. I think I mentioned it when I did emotional intelligence. So this yoga is a technique that will help you in developing the intellect when you look at it from this angle, because it is having the focusing ability. But if you just do yoga and don't question, you won't develop the intellect. You have to do yoga and questioning, both. Yoga, pranayama, and questioning. So, if at all you need techniques, it should be in the practice of yoga and meditation. So, what if you are interested for your people, if you want to have few yoga sessions online, that I can get it organized through somebody.
Yeah, so Swamiji, we have yoga at Renew, which is great. We have somebody, so that is an option which people have. So it's good. So what you're saying is this half an hour or whatever time we spend in the morning, some amount of yoga, some amount of pranayama, and some amount of questioning are kind of intellect in a way. And that is what a good way to spend your time and give the exercise to our intellect.
If you remember in one of my talks, I said, first 2 hours of the day, don't give it to anybody else. You're waking up at 5:30 to 7:30 or 8 o'clock. That time should be spent on these things which we discussed just now. Questioning first, then yoga and pranayama, and walking, jogging, whatever. To do all this, you need about 2 to 2.5 hours. So first 2.5 hours every day, just give for these things. You believe me or not, you will develop the intellect.
Good morning, Swamiji and Vaishali Madam. I just shared my wife's experience on meditation and pranayama, what Swamiji was talking about. Is of course, she wakes up in the morning 4:30. From 4:30 to 6, she spent for meditation and pranayama full. She feels very comfortable and she feels very, very calm and quiet. And maybe I will also tell her to improve the questioning. Then probably she will have a good experience. And I fully agree with Madam's and Swamiji's opinion. When meditation, yoga will support.
Sir, when you were saying she, who is that?
My wife, not me.
Why are you not following?
I'm starting it now. Based on Kerala advice and today's advice, I'm going to start. But of course, literally we are disturbed on morning time about the normally work. We have to keep away that.
No. About work, you should think after all this.
Absolutely, I agree with that. It's a good concept that it should be followed. I fully agree with the Swamiji and Madam. This is a very good concept of this meditation that I feel.
So, any other questions anybody has?
Swamiji, you told about to read some scriptures in this early morning. So I just wanted to know if you can suggest what should we read.
See, I would suggest for you people to start with the book called The Fall of the Human Intellect. The Fall of the Human Intellect is a book which is written by my guru. It is talking what is talked in the Sanskrit scriptures. But you don't have to read Sanskrit and all that. Therefore, he's written this book. It covers the basics of thinking and all that. Then once you finish that, then you can go to Governing Business and Relationship book. So to start with, these 2 books I recommend. First is Fall of the Human Intellect. The second is Governing Business Relationship. If you read these books, it will make you think about certain things in life. And then slowly you will develop the intellect. Then on a long-term basis, if you want to follow a particular book, I would suggest Bhagavad Gita. Because in Bhagavad Gita, it makes you think like anything. There are so many verses which will explain to you how this world is completely topsy-turvy in truth compared to what you believe in. But to come to that, first you got to go through these two books. And in fact, before coming to Bhagavad Gita, even you can forget about Bhagavad Gita, there is another book called the Vedanta Treatise. The Vedanta Treatise, the Eternities, is actually the gist of Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads and everything. So when you forget about Bhagavad Gita, no problem. You study first for the fall of the human intellect. Study means, I told you, 20 minutes study, 40 minutes thinking. Then governing business relationship. Then come to Vedanta Treatise, the Eternities. If you finish these three, then I'll tell you Gita and everything.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Yeah. So shall we end today's session and meet next week?
Yes, sir.
Now, my apologies for thinking that it was at 12 o'clock. I'm really sorry about this.
No problems, Swamiji. We'll start at 11 next Sunday, same time.
Yeah. See you all. Thank you.
So see you all. Meetings closed, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji.